Bye-bye.
Okay, so here's something I watched. There's a video from this guy called Henarkaro, and he made a video called "Please Don't Buy Atomic Heart," which was published like literally yesterday, and the reason he is saying that is because apparently, what's it called? You shouldn't buy this game because it's politically incorrect and supporting Soviet Russia or some bullshit like that. So I kind of wanted to watch this and I guess like break it down.
Today is August 9th, 1945. The US drops 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, turning the cities to dust and ending the lives of more than 200,000 people shortly after.
A great thing to do is talk about world tragedies when telling people not to buy a video game. That's a great start.
Which Japan surrenders. In celebration, the US government creates and publishes a tabletop board game called Nuclear Love, themed according to the operation performed. It was made for 2 players, where one would be playing on the side of
Is that real? Hold on.
the patriotism and popularity failed on the market. Sounds like a rather unethical piece of military propaganda that nullifies the tragedies, right? That's because Nuclear Love never existed, and I just made it up. But there is a similar situation.
That's kind of weird though, because he called it Nuclear Love, and there's ironically a game talking about nuclear war. Oh, that's I don't know if that's that point. It's kind of weird. Okay then. Whoops.
Does exist that follows this formula, and it is about to be released, and its name is Atomic Heart. I want to preface the video by saying that if you're the type of person that is still going to buy and play something like Hogwarts Legacy despite its infamy, you might as well click off, as I'm going to explain why it's a bad idea to purchase and play Atomic Heart.
Oh my god. Already like, what is this, a minute into the video, and he's talking about Hogwarts Legacy.
Go on, you have a Joe Rogan podcast to catch up on, or play Call of Duty or something, I don't know. Off you go. Being Ukrainian myself, I'm making this video to spread awareness, so even if 100 people see this, I'm satisfied. Even if one person...
If 100 people saw this, 1 million views,
cancels
good
their
God.
pre-order because of this video, I'm satisfied. I will be turning monetization on for this video if possible, and all revenue from this video will be going straight to local Ukrainian charities. But let's start with the basics. What is Atomic Heart? Atomic Heart is a video game set to be released on February 21st, 2023 that is positioned by the developers as BioShock in the USSR. It describes the events of the alternative history of the 50s, where the Soviet Union emerged from the Second World War scientifically and technologically advanced, reaching the peak of development with cold nuclear fusion and intelligent robots. You play as Mayor Nechayev, who is a KGB major and an officer in special assignments. So far, the game has been universally appraised, earning top spots in oncoming games lists on sites like PC Gamer, IGN, and Gamescom. But let's see who is really behind it. The game is developed by a Russian studio called Mundfish. On the website of the studio, there is currently no mention of the fact that this is a Russian game dev. The story of the company begins with its launch in 2017 by a team of 4 like-minded gaming enthusiasts in Cyprus. At the same time, the studio was mentioned as a Russian one with an office in Moscow in Russian gaming and IT media articles. In 2019, there was even a report from the Moscow office of the studio. And after the events of 2022, the company completely ostracized itself from being known as a strictly Russian company and is now presenting itself as international, which in terms of their history of office installments and offshores means half Cyprus, half Armenian, half Singapore, and whatever the hell else, just to avoid sanctions and negative spotlight. So, now that we've established that this is actually a Russian studio, what is their opinion on the war going on? What could be their stance on this tragedy?
Also, wait, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like Tarkov and Stalker, aren't those made by also Russian studios? Or are they Ukrainian studios?
Matter that could save and keep their public image and also not tank the sales. Let's read out loud together. Guys, we have noted the questions surrounding where we at mundfish stand. We want to assure you that mundfish is a developer and studio with a global team focused on an innovative game and is undeniably a pro-peace organization against violence against people. We do not comment on politics or religion. Rest assured, we're a global team focused... Hold on, stop. We do not comment on politics? You're making a game that's sole idea is USSR renewal and communism. You classified your game as inspired by Bioshock and Prey, yet you go the no politics in my video game route? This is one step away from the types of gamers who say, I don't like politics in my video game, and then immediately open up Fallout.
Contrary to what Redditors claim, Fallout was not created as a political allegory. It was, first of all, a dumb, absurdly violent, ridiculously bleak game with crazy guns and mutants. There were of course ethical quandaries and political dilemmas presented as part of the setting that could be applied to the contemporary world. It never portrayed communism favourably. It didn't really say much of anything about it. It was mostly focused on America and American culture. And any of the critiques rose out of that setting.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be hard watching the rest of this video, especially with like the opening where it's like you support Hogwarts Legacy. Cringe. Like it is just more incredibly harder to watch this video, but like let's try to watch him out.
What absolute nonsense. After that, their response to criticism regarding that tweet was simply to ban people, so it's
violent against which people exactly? Can't even say it. This is the response to folks asking them if they took money from Russian governments and its intensity sanctioned for their role in Russo-Ukraine war, canceling them spammers. What? Violent against which people exactly? Can't even say it. Violent against which people? People in general, I guess? Because people on the internet are like dogs. In the small ones, they'll try to bite you. Oh yeah, have you seen the video where like there's like a dog barking and growling behind a fence, but the second they open the fence, the dog just like shuts up instantly? That's what this is. I physically can't watch the video slamming the game. It makes me too angry. Yeah, I'm struggling to watch it myself.
It's a short end there. Now, let's look at the CEO of mundfish, whose name is Robert Pagratuni. Except that it isn't. His actual name is Maxim Zatsepin. Max previously had a position of a creative director / top manager in Mail.ru, which is now presented as VK, the biggest social media platform in Russia. It doesn't take much to figure out that a platform that is based in Russia, directed and controlled by Russia, and is used only by Russians will have a strict pro-Russian stance. But it doesn't end there. Meet Yevgenia Sidova. As the founder of mundfish, she's a former model and an owner of a modeling agency. She worked at New Media Stars, where she was in charge of the computer graphics department. That company is now in charge of various pro-Russian mass media, such as Vzglyad.ru.
Wait, how does that make sense? A woman that was a manager in a graphics center then went to a model. That's a weird line of work. They aren't controlled by the Russian governments or have a Russian stance. Yeah, they aren't. Like, you know that like every time you buy a game online, you know, with like your money, you know that like those, when you pay on taxes for that, you know, like also the U.S. government, right? But that doesn't mean that the government owns like Blizzard or Riot or anything like that. Well, technically Riot is owned by a Russian company, but like those just because like they collect taxes or anything like that doesn't mean that they are directly supported by the US government. Like, they just don't. It's literally one of those video services not shut down. Oh.
And Dni.ru. According to the former employees of the company, all mundfish transactions and checks are on her behalf. Let's roll back the time a little.
What does that mean though? They're all on her behalf?
But
isn't that because she's a manager? Or what is he implying there? That like they're evil? What?
the game has been in development for quite a while, and by quite a while I mean at least 7 years, with its earliest trailers dating back to 2017, and the scene in 2017 and 2018 wasn't as smooth for them. Many people got interested and excited, but a lot of people were skeptical, the reason being a shady system of pre-orders. Let me paint you a picture.
Oh yeah, also, I kind of want to talk about this.
But a lot of people...
This thing right here, their VR project was a scam? This isn't true. Before, I know about this. Before they made Atomic Heart, they used to have a VR... oh wait, hold on. The jam stopped. I can't talk unless it was jam. The VR scam that mundfish made wasn't a scam. It was a what's it called? Like a demo or like a it's like a thing that was just showing like a little show. It was based off of kind of Atomic Heart, where like you put on a VR headset and then you like go through like a little roller coaster ride. That's all it was. It wasn't a scam. It wasn't like oh, this is like the next generation of game. It wasn't claiming to be anything else other than just like a VR project where you go through a Soviet like tunnel and like go and like seeing robots and shit. That's what the VR project was. I don't know why this guy is so unhinged and saying that like it was a scam. It wasn't a scam. People on the internet got upset. That it wasn't the whole game. Yeah, but like the thing is that like the VR project wasn't even supposed to be like a huge game. It was just like a little ride along, if I remember correctly.
People were skeptical, the reason being a shady system of pre-orders. Let me paint you a picture. An unknown company posts a small teaser trailer of some generic assets and a description to cause hype.
Generic assets? Wait a minute. You're telling me this is generic? Oh wait, I don't even think you guys can see that. These are generic assets? You call this generic assets? What? Generic assets would be like oh, that backpack was bought off the Unity store for $5. These are generic? Here it is. Okay, the quality. Can we go a little higher, guys? You call these assets generic? What? Oh yeah, because you know, whenever I go in the Unity store, I can just buy like Killer Clown robot model off of there, and you know that's generic. Yeah, that thing right there. You can buy this off the asset store for $1. Yeah, this is totally generic. They like these things, generic, cringe. This blood splatter, bro. I can buy that for $0.01 off the Unity asset store. Clearly generic. I'm so lost. What in any of that was generic? What? Also, good God, like I'm not gonna lie, people on YouTube need to chill with the fucking Atomic Heart thumbnails. Good God, y'all motherfuckers need to chill with those thumbnails. Jesus Christ.
Was all of the effort to guide you to their pre-order page, where you would be met with a $60 base game, $90 pre-order for Gold Edition, and $100 for Premium Edition.
Wait, are you sure? Wait, I think this guy's talking out of his ass. Hold on. Cause he's saying that like they're like, oh, they dropped like their shitty like generic asset game with like so you can go get their pre-orders. There's nothing here about pre-ordering. But here, they say that, like, please add Atomic Heart to your Steam wishlist. The wishlist, if you add it to your Steam wishlist, it doesn't cost any money. Like, you just add it to a list. It doesn't cost a dime. Right? Nothing here says that, like, they're like, oh, like, Atomic Heart, like, please buy the pre-orders, right? Nothing here says anything about a pre-order. And even if it's like, oh, well, maybe they didn't mention it there, the art is different, right? Through this entire trailer, you do not see this, like, the robot chick thing. You don't see that in the entire trailer. Like, it's even different art. So it's like, huh? So what is this guy talking? Pre-orders where? Maybe now that the game is actually coming out soon, maybe now they can do pre-orders. But like this, where it's like now, 2017. Okay.
Gold edition and $100 for premium edition. Mind you, you see these price tags, and there's exactly 2 minutes of badly made teaser trailer footage with no gameplay to.
Bro, this guy is legit just like criticizing the game for like not coming out yet. Jesus Christ, badly made teaser? Huh?
Serve as the video game's representation and marketing. What did not help was the fact that the game was being developed by a studio that no one has ever heard from before, being just born and publishing Atomic Heart as their first game, which means that they have no background and no past games that would justify the pre-order prices.
Yeah, you know what? This guy is right. Anytime, listen to me guys. Anytime there's a indie studio that is coming out with their very first game and they've never made a #1 top selling game ever that hasn't blown away the Steam charts or even earned a Steam or even won Game of the Year, you shouldn't even trust in indie studios. They should just all burn. Oh, hey Lou.
Hi.
What are you doing here? You okay?
Just, popped in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The game didn't even have a release date, or even a release year at the time, which meant that you're investing up to $100 for something that might not come out ever, practically losing your money. You know what else is—
What the fuck is this guy talking about? There was no pre-order! Oh my god. I'm sorry, Lou. Do you know? Oh, wait, what were you gonna say, Lou?
I was gonna comment about the indie thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't really know how to look at it, because you gotta start from somewhere, but
yeah, like the thing, he's like talking about like the fact that like indie studios, if a studio that has never made a game before comes out with like a game that looks absolutely amazing, you shouldn't trust in it immediately because it's a scam, and you're losing your money or whatever. Like that's so retarded, because like it's like this is like such a gray area. It comes with games, right? Because you're like, oh well, that hasn't happened before. But then you look at shit like Fallout 76 or Cyberpunk, right? 2 games that were gonna be like apparently bangers and amazing, right? And then they came out and they were like utter pieces of garbage, and arguably still are to this day. But then it's also like but like if an indie studio does it, or I guess not even an indie studio, just like a studio is coming out with like their first game, like how autistic is it for someone to just be like, yeah, that game that they just don't trust in it because you're gonna lose your money? Because like I think because there's even that one game called like the day before, the day after, or whatever, Days Gone, whatever, that zombie game that's coming out. Like some people are skeptic about that one, and not because it's a new studio that has never made a game before, but because the trailers are a bit misleading and they're constantly being like, well, release it next year. Like, that's understandable, but like with this, it doesn't seem like there's any like hijinks coming out,
yeah.
So that's why I feel like it's so like weird. And he's also he's also talking about like how like they're like coming out with pre-orders when the first trailer came out, the shitty trailer with barely any like crappily made assets, and he's saying that like oh, make sure you buy the pre-orders, and it's like, but they aren't talking about pre-orders anywhere. They're talking about to please add it to your Steam wishlist, not to pre-order it. Like nowhere here does it say that. Like, huh? What is he talking about? I feel like at that point he's just being disingenuous, but I guess we'll continue with this.
$60 for the same price as the base game.
But,
Elden Ring.
like,
oh,
some fucking AAA games do stuff like that. Like, they'll show one trailer and then be like, "Hey, here's a pre-order."
Yeah, some do.
Here's a deluxe edition that we don't even have the game out for yet.
Exactly. Also, Lou, why the hell are you floating outside of the bar?
I'm outside the bar.
Yeah, hold on.
Lou is going to space.
No, you're not going anywhere. There you are. Now you're back inside of it.
I want to go to space.
You're not. You're trapped here with me. Okay.
dollars for the same price as the base game?
I
Elden
want to
Ring.
be in space.
Doubts started to rise
Hey,
as many
no,
people called this
no,
out to be a fake footage from a video game that doesn't exist, made by a shadow company with no records, just to scam people out of their
Very
pre-order
careful with
money. And it's been like that for a long time until they dropped
Sorry,
more
Puppy
trailers
was
and
trying to
promo
chew on the cord
material
for
and
the
so on and so
headphones.
forth. But the initial impression fell flat. Now let's talk.
What? The initial impression felt flat? When this first trailer came out, people loved it. What are they talking about?
I feel like this guy's just talking out of his ass.
Yeah, he's saying that like, oh, the first trailer didn't catch people's attention or their money, so let's release other trailers. What? What kind of logic is that?
I mean, you gotta show more trailers to actually have, like, to get the community excited, because it's like, you give them one trailer and then nothing, it's gonna be like how people are feeling about Tears of the Kingdom.
Exactly. You know, I think this guy, I think he made a video about the wrong game. I think the game he was actually meant to talk about was the, okay, yeah, he was, I think he meant to talk about this game called The Day Before. So, I think that's what this guy's doing. Because everything he's talking about is what The Day Before has done. They release a trailer, people are hyped but skeptical. Then they release another trailer that is kind of different in quality and different in graphics. And then they have like, they're talking about like pre-orders. I don't think they're talking about pre-orders, but like that's what he's talking about here, where it's like that they just constantly release like trailers and they're always different in quality and they're always like different some way, right? And I guess you could see the same thing here with Atomic Heart, where it's like the trailers all look kind of different from the start to the most recent ones. But like that's because like since the game has been in development hell, the graphics and art style and everything would have changed, right?
Yeah.
So it's like huh? What are they like? What are they trying to
Like,
say?
as the game gets developed, it's gonna look better.
Yeah,
like,
it's
of
gonna
course there's
change.
gonna be a gap between the visuals.
Exactly.
Talk economics. If you were to buy one and spend $60, where
It'd
would
be
these
one thing if
$60
we see
go?
like
That is a
trailers
really
and
good
then getting gameplay that looks absolutely different.
worth, but the initial impression fell flat.
Like, it looks
Now
so much
that-
better in the trailers than the actual gameplay, then yeah, I could see the issue. But if it's been in development hell, like, of course it's gonna improve.
Yeah, and like that's the thing with the Day Before. The reason people are skeptical about the trailers in that game isn't because like they suck or anything, or well, actually, technically it is. But the reason that people are skeptical there is because like the first trailer looked beautiful with all the textures and gameplay mechanics and all that shit, right? Like people loved how it looked, right? But then they released another trailer. They were like, hold on, this looks a little different than the other one, but in like a worse way, right? And then in the most recent gameplay trailer for The Day Before, Charlie, you know, Moist Critical himself, pointed out that the HUD where the chick is like putting like a gun together and adding attachments, he said that like that menu, like the menu layout scheme, looked exactly like those Unity asset flip games.
I think the game is real, they're just bad at management. I just don't. This convinced me even more so than anything else that the game isn't real. This seems like such a rushed job just to present something. Because no developer in their right mind, even developers that are like truly delusional, like high on their own farts, way up their own ass, not even they would think this is a good presentation for their upcoming product. Because it shows nothing. There's no fucking zombies. And like all of this, we have seen this exact UI in Steam asset flips that I've played. The bad Steam game, the bad game nights, we have seen this exact fucking UI and everything. It just feels like they threw this together as quickly as they possibly fucking could. Because maybe they're at risk at being investigated or something, I don't know.
Let's talk economics.
Uh-oh.
If you were to buy one and spend $60, where would these $60 go? That is a really good question. To answer it, let's look at what kind of companies signed up to be the investors and publishers for Atomic Heart, basically to be the ones who would be taking the large cut in Atomic Heart's revenue. The investors of the studio are Chinese Tencent and Russian GEM Capital and Gaijin Entertainment. Tencent needs no introduction, being infamous with its licensing technique and hunger over users' data. So let's start with Gaijin Entertainment, which moved from Russia to Hungary in 2022 in order to avoid conflict and continue its
Lou, are you crying?
No, that's the puppy, but I am in a bad situation.
Okay, well, I'm trying to watch a video. Okay, so he made a statement where he said that Gaijin moved from Russia to Hungary to avoid the war. Isn't that a good thing for Russian companies? Just saying.
The head of the PR, Konstantin Hovgun, illegally visited the Ukrainian Crimea, which is temporarily occupied by Russia, and repeatedly spoke in support of the policies and politics of the Russian Federation. But the
Huh? Wait a minute. Wait, she illegally visited Russia. What?
policies and politics of the Russian Federation.
Hold on.
No.
Let me look at the validity of that. Hold on. Where is this? If this was something important that actually happened, you would assume it would be everywhere across the news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not seen anywhere though.
Visited the Ukrainian Crimea, which is temporarily occupied by Russia, and repeatedly spoke in support of the policies and politics of the Russian Federation. But the most interesting sponsor is GEM Capital. GEM Capital is a Russian fund founded by Anatoly Pali, who previously worked at Gazprom's subsidiary Gazenergoset. The studio raised investments from them in 2021, where Anatoly met and became friends with oligarchs who got rich on oil and gas activities and now have the opportunity to invest large sums of money in various projects. Namely, the export of gas and oil is one of the main categories of income of the Russian budget, the money from which goes to the military industry. And if you know basic economics and finances, you know that all investments must be returned, including interest. Moreover, a Twitter user found Pali's connection to other.
Alright, who's up for some fun thread at Funvidea Games? Though not a true hardcore real gamer, I follow some news and I play some in-between power outages and Russian missiles that said, so yeah, I like games. You know who else like games? Tony Palo.
Russian state institutions, such as the sanctioned, systematically important bank VTB. The game attracted as many as 4 publishers: Xbox, 4 Divinity, Focus Entertainment, and VK Play. Let's focus on VK Play. It is known to be a gaming division of the former Mail.ru, the same Mail.ru who had Maxim Zatsepin as their former top manager. And again, it is closely connected with the Russian government and participates in many initiatives of the Kremlin. If Atomic Heart is being developed with money that originated from sanctioned Russian businesses such as VK and Mail.ru, and banks which are systematically important to Russian governments such as VTB, profits from the game could be directed to help the Russian government in its invasion. Thus, by buying Atomic Heart, you would pay money to companies that support the aggressive policies and military actions of the Russian Federation. Lastly, there were some incredible terms of service and private.
Bro, what? If you buy Atomic Heart, you're directly funding the Russian government? I'm lost. I'm very lost with this whole argument. Also, I don't think I responded to this, but he also talked about how oh, if you buy a $60 game for a premium edition, then that's dumb. You know what other games are only $60? Elden Ring. And then it's like what? It's like people value different games because the audience likes them. It's not like Atomic Heart is this massively growing game where it's capturing every single audience out in the world. I don't know if this dipshit realizes, probably he doesn't because he plays fucking Destiny, that not everyone who plays games enjoys FPS shooters. There's people out there that play Pokemon or The Witcher or Hogwarts Legacy, ironically enough, and that aren't FPS games. Does this guy just assume that everyone is enticed by this game? You're still watching him? Yes, I am still watching him because it's so hard watching this video because he just makes such autistic arguments. Like how if you buy this game, you're directly funding the invasion of Ukraine. It's like, no, you're not, you dipshit. Oh my god. He also talked about like how they have investors and shit like that. And it's like you know, like there's like investors in everything, right? It sucks. This video is a hard watch.
Privacy policies spotted over at Mundfish. The website now leads to a 404, but someone managed to capture these screenshots. Basically, it's
okay, well, I mean, it doesn't look like Mundfish is outright doing this just to like, rub their evil hands together and take everyone's personal information. It kind of just looks like the reason that they have to state this is because the Russian government, makes them say that, right? Because it says right here in my translated one, the processing of security of data in the company is carried out in accordance with the requirements of the Constitution of Russian Federation. So it's not like they want to do this. It's more like it looks like they're being forced to harvest your data, not be like oh, that's what it looks like, right? Because like companies in the U.S. have to do the same thing where it's like oh, we got to collect information about our citizens and whatnot, right? So like the fact that they just say that it's like oh like he's claiming that they steal their personal information. It's more so like they have no other choice. Right, so
can and will.
Like, I'm not defending that. I'm not saying that like it's a good thing that they steal it. I'm saying that it's understandable why they would take it. So it's not their fault specifically. I'm pretty sure any like Russian studio does that.
Will be transferred to the Russian government, in particularly the Federal Security Service, and not just your username, but your full name, physical address, email, phone number, IP address, and so on. Gotta say, their mobilization methods are getting kinda dire. Finally, let's talk about the game itself for a bit. Set in the USSR in 1955, Atomic Heart's story begins as the Soviet scientist Dmitry Sechenov creates an AI-assisted legion of robots that take control of all manual labor, leaving humans free to live a life of leisure and luxury. The main protagonist is a mentally unstable officer on special assignments, nicknamed P3, who is sent by this Professor Sechenov to keep the situation at Facility 3826 from deteriorating. The game is set in a utopian universe where the USSR had won and had a major boost in technical progress. The gameplay is centered around fighting through hordes of various types of enemies, ranging from plain robots to cosmic horror type obscurities. The game is filled to the brim with USSR-themed keepsakes and memorabilia, from drinking condensed milk straight out of the can to actual flags and symbols of the USSR hammer and sickle. This kind of approach to the showcase of USSR and communism walks a thin line between using it for world building and praising it, and there—
What? Using it for world building or praising it? I wouldn't say praising the USSR is making a game about how a utopian society is slowly crumbling due to the ignorance of the government. I'm sorry, but what kind of propaganda is that? That's like if I made a game about like how capitalism in the United States is amazing and it's an absolute utopia, but then the game is also about like how everyone in the city is like a fat obese piece of shit where robots are murdering everyone and the government is crumbling. Like what kind of I think he's missing the point on the whole story of the game.
There are many solid reasons to believe that this line has been crossed completely right into promoting and idealizing the USSR regime and using it as a tool of USSR and Russian military propaganda.
The Fallout series, exactly. Fallout, just Fallout in general.
And there have been events to prove this. Take a look at this event that people behind VK organized. It was a special showcase of Atomic Heart for the Russian press, which was stylized in the game's Soviet aesthetics, and they did not go stingy on the decorations, huh? The event—
What does any of this have to do? Oh my god. It's like, so what if they had a press— Isn't that what they want? Don't they want the press events to look like all beautiful and like eye-catching? Because the press is gonna show that to consumers, and the consumers are gonna be like, oh, this game does look legit. This doesn't look like a half-baked piece of shit where the tables are just like plastic foldable tables and they threw them like metal folding chairs. Like, what's the point of that? The reason that it's like that is because it's trying to get good press on the game. Like, what is that? What kind of argument is that? It's like, oh, the press event wasn't dog shit and it wasn't criticizing the Russian government. Therefore, they're obviously pro-Russian What? That's a reach, and this guy fucking knows it, bro. There's reason why most stories are fucking spoon-fed to people. Yeah, because they can't. Some people can simply just not take a story and find the undermined like information in it. They have to be like, this is bad, and this is bad. Why? And this person is bad, but you're a good person. Idiot.
And included a dinner in a large banquet hall where you could see Soviet-style slogans like "Glory to the Soviet engineers" or "Calm."
Glory to the Soviet engineers, because the game is about Soviet engineers who make robots. I'm losing my mind. I'm actually upset right now. Holy shit.
Join the Society of the Future. One of the users.
That's propaganda for the game. Oh my god. I don't think he understands. If he saw that the press release was just like a dirty garage with a couple like foldable plastic chairs and tables here and there, he would have been like, whatever, that doesn't support my theory. That's so stupid. Huh? Of course you would want a press event to look neat, because you're trying to. Oh my god. I feel like I'm talking in circles right now.
Users in Twitter replies said, "Imagine if developers of Wolfenstein had an."
Exactly. Why wouldn't you want them impressed? You're trying to. Also, this is retarded as well. Imagine if the developers of Wolfenstein had a Nazi-themed party.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, man.
Okay, so there's a difference between trying to make something look themed towards the game and being fucking tone deaf. Oh my god, these people.
Nazi-themed party, and I would say that's well said. Sergei Mohov, a Remedy lead gameplay designer, rightfully accused mundfish of being nostalgic about the Soviet regime, or even glorifying it. Ironically,
they're not being nostalgic, they're just talking about the game! Oh my god.
The party's date coincided with the adoption of the new anti-LGBT law in Russia.
Oh, what a reach! What a reach! Oh, what a fucking reach! Oh, the press event was the anniversary of the anti-LGBTQ. Oh, what a fucking reach! He's reached. This guy should join the NBA for how much reaching he can do. Good God.
Which brings us right back to USSR, I guess. A major point that I want to bring attention to, that there have been numerous well-made games with a Soviet or USSR or low-lie Eastern Europe theme or setting. Let's bring some examples. In Singularity, the Soviet Union discovered a source of element 99 and has special powers that could warp time itself, trying to bring it to the glory days through time travel. If you're in the mood for video games that came out 15 years ago but already played through all the world famous ones, you should give it a try. In Half-Life 2, the setting of cities.
What? Also, Singularity, isn't that kind of against his argument, because they're talking about like bringing the USSR back to its like former glory? Isn't that implying that Singularity is a game about how amazing the USSR was and how we should bring it back? Huh? Doesn't that kind of go against this whole video's theme that USSR bad? Also, dude, this guy's bringing up Half-Life. Oh my god.
17 has not been directly said to be in a specific part of the world, but it's clear that it's been influenced by Eastern Europe's architecture and style. Bulgarian art director Viktor Antonov, the person behind City 17 and Dunwall of Dishonored, mentions his childhood hometown of Sofia as main inspiration for City 17. Other places like Belgrade were also used as reference. In Disco Elysium,
what does any of that have to do with like a good example of like anti-USSR propaganda or whatever the fuck he said? What did he say?
Games with a Soviet or USSR or low-lie Eastern Europe theme or setting. Let's bring some
Okay, so a good USSR theme and setting? But he was talking about like how Atomic Heart was like pro-Russian propaganda. There's no propaganda in those other games, just like there is no propaganda in this game. The propaganda is world building because it's meant to be like a veil hiding that like everything is failing behind the scenes, right? and then he brings up like
Examples
singularity
to be in a specific part of
or
the world.
Half-Life. And Half-Life was all about a regime coming and controlling everyone. Like, what is this?
Disco Elysium, the streets of Martinez show what it would be like to live through the failure of an attempted communist revolution. You can still see artillery damage and bullet holes in the walls, notes the lead writer Helen Hinpere. There's this feeling of being stuck in the past. People of Soviet and post-Soviet era are very familiar with this feeling, especially those who live in countries like Moldova or Estonia, which is the homeland of the game's lead designer, Robert Kurvitz. The game takes its own spin of what being a communist entails through its own political vision quest and partially the main quest. I won't spoil it, and I do suggest you try it out yourself.
I'm very confused on what his point here is. Like there are games that are anti-USSR's capitalism, socialism, but then like Atomic Heart isn't one because Atomic Heart is directly trying to be like pro-USSR, even though in the game is all about how, you know, this utopia is falling apart.
Coming back to Atomic Heart, another point that rubs me the wrong way is the recent marketing strategy. It seems like their marketing team realized that their previous shady strategy has failed to bring in pre-orders, so they went with another.
There's no pre-orders. Okay, maybe he's talking about now, but it was clearly established that before there was no pre-orders. You know, as hinted in the crappy made video, he said there's no hint of pre-orders here. But okay.
Another plan to make typical capital G gamers buy their game, which is of course none other than through sexualization and objectification of women.
Dude, this guy, oh my god, the sexualization of inanimate objects that are objectifying women. Oh my god. This video is the hardest video I've ever had to watch in my life.
So far I have avoided showing these characters on screen, but I am talking about the couple of female USSR-styled robots that they suddenly added in recent trailers and thumbnails to get the attention of the lusty neckbeards. Just by searching Atomic Heart on YouTube and scrolling far down,
I like how he said neckbeards, but the caption said eggbeards. I thought that was funny.
It's impossible to miss the countless trailers, thumbnails, edits, and shorts about these characters, with some videos claiming that they'll buy the game just for these two, which also brings in the ongoing issue of sexualizing lesbians in media. Not only is marketing like this highly unethical and immoral, as we've been fighting with objectifying and sexualizing women, especially
But they're not sexualizing them! Sexualizing and objectifying women would be like giving these robots massive fucking robot titties and huge metallic asses. That's sexualizing and objectifying. These robots are just showing the female form. What should women not be like happy about how their like bodies are portrayed in media? Like, what is the message here? If they gave the robot chicks like BBW fucking double D size titties, then I'd be like, okay, these guys are clearly trying to hit a certain market, but they're not. These are just like normal bodied. So like, oh, this is just retarded.
Media and advertisements, especially lesbians, but it's also actually
especially lesbians. Wait a minute, wait, hold on. Didn't he just say that Russia passed a law that was anti-LGBTQ+? So if that's true, then why would Russia support a game where one of the characters or one part of it has quote-unquote lesbian robots? Future me, cut here, future me. So in the video that I was talking about the whole like Atomic Heart situation, one thing that I kind of skipped over was the fact that the guy was talking about how there's like lesbians portrayed as robots in Atomic Heart, and how it's like disgusting and it idolizes women and objectifies them, right? And then at the same time he also said that like Russia passed a law that was like anti-LGBTQ, right? But some people might think that like, oh well, even if there is a little bit LGBTQ in a video game, that doesn't mean that that a whole country is gonna shut it down either way. And to that, I have to say that, like, no, that they do that, right? So here's a perfect example of that, which is Blizzard Entertainment, or whatever it's called now, Blizzard Activision. So there was this huge thing that happened in Hong Kong where the brave people over there were fighting for their independence, where China was trying to like lock them up and turn them into like I don't know, like slaves or whatever, right? And there was a guy called Blitzchung, where he went on a Hearthstone like casting stream that was sponsored by, like, it wasn't sponsored by Blizzard, but it was like, you know, Hearthstone's like a Blizzard entity, and he said that like free Hong Kong, and he had like a gas mask and glasses on, right? And he was pro Hong Kong. Now Blizzard is pro China. So what Blizzard did is that they banned him, they ruined his life, they banned all the casters during that entire stream. In Overwatch, and I forgot exactly what it was, but like they had pro Hong Kong stuff in like Overwatch on the maps, right? Like statues of Hong Kong and symbols and all that stuff, right? So when Blizzard, when the whole like Hong Kong thing was happening in China and like affecting them and everything, when that was happening, Blizzard sucked up to China and got rid of all the Hong Kong anything in Overwatch, because they wanted to you know, support China, right? So that this is an example of like a country putting their influence in games if they don't like one thing about it, right? Which is exactly like, doesn't make sense with the Atomic Heart thing, because like in Atomic Heart it's like, oh, we have like these two lesbian robot females who are like objectifying women, right? But then at the same time it's like, well, Russia passed a law that like is anti-LGBTQ, so then it'll be like, why is that a thing then if it's you know, quote unquote supporting the USSR regime and all that shit? Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. I think that argument is stupid. But you know, cut this in, future me. Isn't that against what Russia wants to like push? Like, huh? Wouldn't Russia be like, all right, mundfish, you gotta shut everything down. We're not supporting this lesbian pro game. Delete all of it. We're burning down your offices and you're getting sent to the gulags. Like, isn't that
Actually illegal.
Yeah.
For example, in Ukraine, our parliament adopted a
response.
exactly?
law banning sexism in advertising, which became active in January 2022. Elected officials have banned showing the superiority of one gender over another in physical, intellectual, or social aspect, showing stereotypical roles of men and women, gender-based violence, as well as the human body as a sexual object. In simpler terms, it's just gross and cheap, and what pains me to say is that it seems to be working. These YouTube shorts and edits are getting millions of views, quickly becoming favorite among the fans, who quickly started to spread rumors about a possible 6-hour sex scene in the video.
What? 6 hours sex scene? Bro, I can barely watch a video that's a 10-minute sex scene. What?
Again, it's so wrong on so
It's so bro, this guy. How much do you bet this guy doesn't have a girlfriend? On God, how much do you bet this guy has never felt the touch of a woman?
Wouldn't surprise.
Damn, Lou.
many levels. In conclusion, what
In conclusion, I'm just envisioning like the black guy who's like standing behind like the whiteboard.
can you do to support Ukraine on this matter? If you did purchase a
All right, in conclusion, this guy is talking out of his ass. He's wrong. You should 100% support Atomic Heart and the innocent developers who are making it. They just want to make a game that they love, and this is not being sponsored by the Russian Federation Intelligence Bureau that is secretly collecting all your money. Support Atomic Heart and support developers who have no say in what goes on in their country. And yeah, there you go. Hit Nakaro. There's your in conclusion statement. Selective attention and common trait of internet idiots. Yep, you said it best, Psychologic. Lou, what do you think about this video?
In conclusion, guy being an ass, suck a dick.
Thank you, Lou. Very based.
Chef Cool, Louis, Ruben, Duffel, got tin